at the Selenium IDE. So I have Firefox version 54 with Selenium IDE. So let me show you that. This is what my Firefox is, and in that I have Selenium IDE. I can go to Tools and click on Selenium IDE. When I do that, it shows me this. It shows me a window like this. Okay? This is how it looks on the Mac. And now in this, I have a test case by the name of it's a default test case by the name of untitled. If you do the right click on this test case and go to properties, you can rename this test case easily and can give it a name test case 1 and press OK. So the name of the test case will be changed. Second, so this is how you can, rename the test case. If you want to add a new test case, you can do the right click and say new test case. And a new test case will be added by the name of untitled and you can rename it again. If you want to switch between your test case, you can simply double click on it and you will be switched. Second, by default when you open the Selenium IDE, this is my recording button. This is my recording button. If you click on this recording button, when you open it, it's by default in recording state. It's by default in recording state. If you want to stop the recording, you'll need to click on it. So let me first record few of the steps and then I'll show you that how the steps are coming up. Okay. So I have clicked on it. It's in recording state now. I'll go ahead and write here google.com. When I write google.com, I can come here and can write seleniumhq.org and press this Google search button. When I click on this, it shows me, this Google search page where I click on one link. I can click on documentation. When I click on documentation, it opens up something, this page. So everything, whatever I did so far is recorded in my right here, if you see. And now you can stop the recording and can see that what the steps it has recorded. First of all, it has opened the URL. In the URL, it is showing me this thing, okay, /JFE, etc., etc. Because the base URL is present right here. And after that, what you want to enter in the base URL? This. Because when you open google.co.in, like if I just click here and open google.co.in, so this is my base URL, and post that is my custom URL, you can say. After that, yes, it has clicked on the search box. It has clicked on this search box. After clicking on search box, no. Let's see, okay, where it has clicked. So if you want to see where it has clicked, what you can do is you can select the step, okay, and let me move it somewhere so that I can see. Make it short and click on this find. Don't know where it has clicked because it has used the CSS. I can check, but I'll need. Okay, so I'm just checking where it has clicked, but I'll tell you that how we can check at the later stage when we will learn locators. For the time being, I am checking at my end. Okay, it is not been found right here, so I can simply delete it from the step, because I don't know from where it has added this step, CSS this. So I can simply delete it if I want, and to delete that I can do the right click and can say delete this step. If you want to add some step, you can again right click and say insert new command, and here you go, a new step will be inserted. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about these three steps. So first is the command, that is open. So there can be multiple commands in Selenium IDE, and if you want to see the list of the commands, then these are the list of the commands. There are actually many commands. Okay, but we are using open command to open this particular URL. So what the URL we have to open, we have mentioned that in the target. This is the target. If you want to even change it, you can simply change it as well. If I want to change it, I can simply say done. That's it. So you don't need to, there's no separate action which you need to do. These text boxes are editable and you can simply change it if you want. The next one we have is the type. This is the type command which will be going to type on the browser. So whatever you want to type on the browser, you use type command for that. The target is ID equals to lstib. Okay. What is this target? Remember, yesterday we talked about 7 locators, and one of the locator is ID, and the ID value is lstib. So we'll be talking about the locator. So for the time being, you can ignore this locator, because you'll be having understanding of locators once we will learn it. And then you can, if you want to change the locator, you will be able to change it as well. And post that, there is a value that you are using type command. For that, we need target as well as value. So what value do you want to give? Do you want to give seleniumhq.org or what? If you want to change it again, it's editable and you can simply change it to seleniumhq and done. Post that, we have click and wait. Selenium HQ, when you search for Selenium HQ, and there is one command missing, there is one test step missing, if you guys remember. Can you guys tell me which step is missing from this? Anyone? Absolutely, Surjit. So that's the step which is missing, that is clicking on the search button, Google search button. Okay, so that's what we have deleted. It might be related to the Google search button. It varies on that. So let me just check whether it is related to that or not. Yeah, it was this button only. So let me just copy that, and it just if you can see the use of Selenium IDE, you must have observed that it has not recorded the step correctly or not aligned the steps correctly, because that click was listing on the second step, but it should come after typing the value. Okay. So let me just add the step now, and at the right place. So I'll say click and wait. At what? I say that I'll use input.lsb and done. Same thing, I'll need to add the CSS as well, that I'm using CSS for this, and this is the one, and done. And after that, you clicked on it, and here we have the documentation. We are clicking on the documentation link if we have. If that documentation link is not present, then it will of course throw us an error in the form of red color that this steps could not run, or your test case is failed. Okay, so let me tell you about these steps once again. We have this is the base URL which it mentions always when it navigates to any site. After that, what you want to open, this is the open command, this is the command, this is the target, and this is the value. If you want to see that what all things it accepts, what all things open command accept, what all things type command accepts, so you can select that command and can see here in the reference that type with the locator as well as with the value. So it needs two things, one is locator and one is value, because you are writing the value at what location. Okay, you are using the locator. So that's why we use target as well as value here. For click and wait, as you can see here in the reference, it only needs locator, so I've entered the locator right here. After that, if you want to debug any of the test case, you can double click on that particular test case. So here I am going to, you can see it's in gray color, and if I double click on it, it has clicked on the page, and here you can see it is in green color now. So this is what we call it as debugging in Selenium IDE. This is what we call it as debugging in Selenium IDE. Also, if you want to see, so this is in the form of a table, and if you want to see the HTML code, it's in the form of this. It's a complete HTML code, what you are seeing right here. In source, you can see that. Second, so either you added them right here or you added them in the source, that's perfectly fine, there is no harm. All the things what you execute gets logged in the log, okay, and you will see that what logs are being maintained here. If you want to execute your test case, what you have recorded, okay, what you can do is you can simply click on this button. Here you can see this button with a single, highlighted green horizontal line. If you click on this button, it will play the current selected test case, and the left button will run the complete test suite. So whatever the test case you have in this particular ID, on the left here, whatever test case you have, if you want to run all of them, then you will press this button, else you will press the first button. So let me press this and let's see then. So if I press it, it goes to Google, it enters Selenium HQ, and then it was not able to click on Google search button. Here you can see that. And if I go back to Selenium IDE and see the result here, you can see that it was not able to click on this click and wait, and you can see it's in red color now. And here is the report. Run is 1 and failure is also 1. So this is how it shows you reporting. Reporting is of course not good, but as you can see that it is getting failed. Why? Because when it starts typing this, it takes few milliseconds, but it is much faster that before when it was typing, it starts looking for this, and when it does not, okay, when it then find this particular locator, it shows me an error that I am not able to find this locator. So just see if you have used the correct locator or not. In this case, what we do, we have to put a wait. Actually, we have to put a wait, because so that we can give enough time for this particular type command to run completely, and then wait, and then click on the search button, Google search button. Okay, so those things will not be added automatically by Selenium. That's what you need to add yourself. So you can do right click, insert new command, and here let's see if we have any command for wait. So wait for, so let's see what all wait commands we have. Wait for condition, wait for confirmation, wait for cookie, wait for element. So let's see, wait for locator, wait for target if we have, wait for locator if we have, wait for element if we have. So there is one command that is wait for element present. We are checking whether the Google search element is present or not. checking whether this particular element is present or not. What this wait for element present is needing, it needs a locator, that what element are you looking for which you want to wait. So I say that I am looking for this element. Wait for this particular element. This one. And done. So I put a wait now and let's see if it works again. Let's run it. I run that. It runs, it enters, and here we go. It's working perfectly fine now. Okay, let me tell you for more things in this Selenium IDE now. The best part of this Selenium IDE, whatever you have recorded here. So first of all, when do you use Selenium IDE? What do you think? I have mentioned that 99% of the companies don't use Selenium IDE, to be precise. Okay. But when we should use actually the Selenium IDE, what do you think in this case? Do you see any benefit of using Selenium IDE here? And where do you think that you can use the Selenium IDE? To check controls being recorded properly, but my question is like, when do you think that you should use Selenium IDE? Whether you should use it or not. Like checking controls are being recorded properly, I would say, because in future we don't need to record things. We'll have to write our script in Java completely, and we may not go to Selenium IDE for this purpose. Okay, so I think that's more than enough. So to be precise, as you know that yesterday I have told you Selenium from Firefox 55, Selenium IDE, you have seen the behavior yesterday. It didn't work. So of course you have to work without Selenium IDE first of all. Always you'll have to work without Selenium IDE. Second, this Selenium IDE, we used to use it only to create prototype of test. So what happens is, you get an application and your manager says whether it can be automated with your tool, what you're using, like Selenium or not. So if the manager says whether you can automate this application using Selenium or not, instead of using Eclipse and writing the script, you can suddenly go to Selenium IDE and then start recording that particular steps, whatever you are following on that website. And if they are getting recorded, then you can say that yes, it can be automated using Selenium, else no. So you can say it as it is used to create prototype of test. You can say if you have a small automation script, then you can use Selenium IDE, and it can also be used to identify elements that you will record the steps. So you'll get all the locators right at this location, and you can use these locators then in your script or wherever you want. So these are the few benefits of using Selenium IDE. Also, there is one more thing of Selenium IDE, which is when you open the Selenium IDE and you go to file, of course you can save your test case. It will be saved in the .html format. You can export the test case in any form. You can, whatever steps you have recorded, you can convert them into a scripting language. So you can convert them into Java, C#, Python, Ruby. Also, you can convert them to Webdriver, to the remote control component, anyone. What is mentioned here, NUnit, JUnit, TestNG, these are the unit testing framework. And like remember, yesterday I've told you that you don't need to install unit testing framework as of now, because we will be talking about unit testing framework at the later stage. So this is the unit. They export test case as this. It will ask you that where do you want to save it, what name you want to save it as. I will say it as test and save, and I can simply go to my desktop So here we go. If you see this, it has converted your code into a scripting language. Here you can see that driver equals to new Firefox driver, base URL is google.co.in, then this is a weight which we'll be talking about today, then base URL, then object sign, driver.find element, the locator. So everything has been converted into this. But there are certain why we don't export these, why don't we record and export these scripts into this Java language and then use it? Because first of all, the motive of learning Selenium is to create an automation framework, and an automation framework will not be going to write our script like this. Also, Selenium IDE adds few extra things in this, like is alert present, close alert and get it 6, etc. All those things. Okay, so it adds some extra functionality which we don't need actually. So why to increase the code when we don't use it? So this is how you can also convert your recorded script into a test script, into the JavaScript as well. There is one more thing which I wanted to tell you, that is this test case what you have recorded, you can also schedule them. So there is one schedule button which you can click and can say, do you want to schedule it? Yes, I want to schedule it. On which day do you want to schedule it? So you mention that I want to run them on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. After that, you say at what time, at what minute, and then you select, you select the test case or the test suite which you want to run at that particular time. So you select that from here. So what happens here? First you save your scripts by going to File, Save Test Case. After that, you come here and say, yes, I want to create a job, and select that particular test case which you want to run. And done. You press OK. And after pressing OK, you will see all the jobs will be listed right here. And all the activities what will happen will be listed right here. It will run your particular script at that particular time, and done. But guys, if you want to use the Selenium IDE, you'll need to downgrade your Firefox. Important thing. And one more information I have got today, that is they have deprecated or they have stopped updating Selenium IDE, but they are working on one tool which is a record and play tool for Selenium, which may launch soon. Okay, one more thing which I want to mention, that is Webdriver. Remember yesterday Ajani or someone has said that we can run this Firefox, we can run Selenium IDE on Firefox and Chrome. When I mentioned that you can run the Selenium IDE only on Firefox, but you can run your scripts on Chrome and IE as well. So that's what I was mentioning here. So here we have. So what happens is in Selenium IDE we have one option that is called as Webdriver. If you enable this Webdriver and mention your Jekyll driver path, okay, where is your Jekyll driver? If you mention that and you press OK and you run it, what will happen? It will execute your complete script in your Chrome, in your Firefox, whatever you will mention here, in Chrome, in Firefox, in Internet Explorer, wherever you want to run them. You just need to mention it right here. Okay, so this is what I have for Selenium IDE, because that's more than enough which I feel for Selenium IDE for now. And if there is a new tool comes, of course it will come up with some new functionalities. And let's see.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.